Hi, I'm going to be talking about Epstein. You can probably tell that by the title and the thumbnail. You know how YouTube works. I'm going to be going over the crimes and all the claims that we can see in the files. I wanted to list them, and an iceberg is really the only format I know how to right now. I was going to do a tier list, but then I thought that's kind of fucked up. I did once tier list all the women I was ever involved with, and I think that would be a god tier video to make, but I would have to redact a lot of information, much like the Epstein Files. Okay though, actual disclaimer for the Epstein Files, some files that were published were actually submissions made to the authorities. This explains why some files are dated after Epstein's death. This is actually a very important thing to note because it's relevant to at least one or two of the entries I'm going to be talking about. So please be careful with what you read on the internet and what shows up on your feeds on social media, because a lot of people are fucking stupid. Secondly, if I laugh, I'm not laughing at like a victim or abuse of a victim. I'm laughing at the absurdity of whatever the fuck I just read. Okay, some people laugh, some people cringe. I'm just someone that laughs. It happens. Anyways, thank you for watching, and like always, this video is brought to you by autism. Okay, starting off, tier 1, he trafficked people. We know about the human trafficking. He was trafficking women, children, I think boys too. That's the thing he's known for, dude. Like, I don't really need to go into that. We all know what happened. The other thing that we know is that he had a client list, and in these files we can see a bunch of names that did show up there, right? Some sort of a client list. The names that you can find in these files are Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Elon Musk, Jay-Z, Pusha T, Leon Black, Jack Horner, Bill Gates. You can even find Bill Clinton in the images. We kind of know this, but here's a list that we can find. And these are just notable people that everybody knows. Okay, now moving on to tier 2. I think this was the first thing in these, at least the most recent at the time of this upload, the most recent thing in these files that was making a lot of waves around the internet. The claim that Trump was present during the murder and disposal of a girl's newborn, right? The murder and disposal of the child at the hands of the girl's uncle, which had Donald Trump present at the time. See how much I stuttered right there? The girl is stated to be 13 at the time. On top of this, there were many claims of Trump being sexually involved with teenage girls. This is also placed along with claims that Donald Trump would auction girls brought by Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. The document states that, and I quote, "He measured the children's vulva and vagina by entering a finger and rated them by tightness." This exact file also mentions a very important point towards the end. It mentions that some of these individuals are reporting secondhand information. It doesn't say which complaint or claim is secondhand, but it is an important detail to get out there. I think just behind the Donald Trump claim, there was a claim of Prince Andrew. We know that the news was interested in questioning Prince Andrew and his connections to Epstein. One email dated to October 2nd, 2020 suggested that Prince Andrew had been an accessory to the murder of a girl who was a sex and torture slave sometime in the 90s. The sender of the email claims that Andrew had tortured him as well as forcing the murder of the girl. I am going to take the time to just read off the little email because it's really not that much. It says, "He called me wanting me to give him a secure email address. He is from redacted. The number that came up is also redacted. Back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl for a modeling career. Instead of modeling, she was sold as a slave for sex and torture. Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he tortured her and me to force her murder. I need to get a passport to identify her. I will need someone to contact the passport office to get an expedited passport. Thanks." Lastly, for tier 2, there is a claim of one email stating that a baby tasted like cream cheese. At least it's suggested. The email reads as, "There are millions of babies, very little good vegetable cream cheese." Oh well, I don't know if cream cheese and baby are on the same level. It's okay, there's still enough time today. I'm trying to schedule priming for 5:30. Fuel explosion, 9:45 p.m. We'll bring a new engine startup video. People who have read this suggest that this means a child kind of tastes like cream cheese. Actually, not even a child, a baby. Going on tier 3, I'm just going to start it with the most simple one. There is a connection of Epstein himself to the Rothschilds. Right, the Rothschilds, most famous for the conspiracy that they are the world's most important, or what's the word I'm looking for? Powerful family, the most powerful banking family. It goes on to say that, they're one of the many families that rule the world. The banking conspiracy, the families that have ruled the world since like fucking forever. It's honestly one of those conspiracies that you can honestly find very easily. I'm not really gonna go into it because I gotta mention a whole bunch of other stuff. But basically, Rothschild's evil. The email does read as you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. I was hoping to figure out a way for the bank that has 160 billion in management can do something in tech. Best client list in the world, prehistoric products, it can wait. Good luck in China. I'll be in Europe again 20 to 28. Then island. So if you want to come around the world going west, come to the island, or if you would like to meet in Saudi at the end of the month. These are email exchanges between Epstein and Peter Thiel, so interesting. It's really hard to find a joke with these things because of how like horrendous these situations are. I'm trying to keep it lighthearted, but it's so hard. If I do find an opening for a joke, I'm gonna fucking take it. On to the next thing. One email says that someone was asked where they were and if they are okay, followed by saying that Epstein enjoyed the torture video. There's no real context after this. I've seen people say, or at least claim, that this is being sent to Benjamin Netanyahu. Um, I don't really know. I don't know how people figure that out. I didn't do any of the redacting or like unredacting because I simply just didn't do it. So who knows who this could actually be sent to? Next, Bill Gates got an STD. So Bill was told to drug his wife after he gave her an STD after getting one himself from one of the ladies on the island. The highlighted part of the email reads as, "To add insult to the injury, you then implore me to please delete the emails regarding your STD. You request that I provide you antibiotics that you can serendipitously give to Melinda and the description of your penis. You also made it clear to me that I am not to refer to redacted ads. That is another topic that must remain between the two of us." Epstein then goes on to say that he feels like Bill is jeopardizing their friendship. He feels like he is going to end it and that he would rather they not. All of this being dated to 2013. I swear to God, if this came out in like 2009, the console wars would have had the funniest bit of lore. Another smaller thing is Epstein having potential Mossad or even Soviet connections. It's mostly just because there are mentions of, well, Mossad, potential Mossad connections on top of frequent mentions of wanting to visit Russia, potentially wanting to meet with Putin. A lot of people have been thinking that he was potentially trafficking Russian women. There's also a case that he was searching for a wife, a Russian wife, a Russian Jewish wife. So if you're Russian, Jewish, and a woman, you are Epstein's type. And if you have like a bob, brown hair, brown eyes, you are my type. Okay, so the biggest thing for tier 3 is the Joe Biden imposter conspiracy being tossed in here. I've seen people posting on the internet that the Epstein Files confirm that Joe Biden is dead and has been replaced by an actor in a mask, which has been a very popular conspiracy for, what is it? It's 2026 now, probably for like 6 or 7 years. I'm fucking kill myself because I did that. I do want to go out on a limb. I do want to go out on a limb and say that this is not the case, but rather it's a case of people not really knowing what they're reading, or even not actually reading the file, or our favorite answer, people being fucking dumb. Okay, I'm gonna be straight up with here. Okay, I'm gonna be straight up. The file does say the dude playing Biden isn't actually him, and that the real one was killed by firing squad in 2019. They go on to say that Joe Biden was a sick fuck and abused kids. Right, so because the theory of an actor being in a mask is mentioned, people have been running with the belief that this confirms Joe Biden is dead, and right now the one we have is an actor or just someone in a mask. But as of February 2026, Joe Biden himself is alive. Okay, so what even is this file? Honestly, it seems to me that it's an email chain between an unconnected person and potentially some sort of government agent. The funniest part is that the Biden claim is just dropped in here. There's no follow up or elaboration. Like, why the fuck did he just say that? This email chain isn't even connected to the Epstein crimes. There's no real connection between the senator and Epstein, it seems. It's just in here. And like I said, the Department of Justice actually went out of their, well, not even went out of the way, but just accidentally published stuff that wasn't really relevant. So yes, when you see people talking about the Joe Biden actor in a mask claim, don't take it as face value. Please actually read it, because it doesn't confirm that in the slightest, and people are just running with it, and it kind of fucking bothers me. But because I was talking about all the crimes and the weird claims in here, I gotta throw this one in here. Moving on to tier 4, there is an email that was sent to Epstein that claims in the belief of the idea that the more Jewish you are, the more likely you are to be smarter. To be completely honest, this is kind of like Jewish supremacy in an email. It's almost like he's some sort of Nazi, and I'm gonna get into that right after this one. This email is sent by someone named Masha Drakova. It says, I found the criteria to find smart people. The more Jew you are, the smarter you are. You said you're 98% Jew? You're very smart. My ex-boss is 78% Jew. He is super smart. Less smart than you are. I have a close friend, business partner, who is 99.3% Jew. He is crazily smart. We take all the Jewish people. Sourcing can be done through relatives. Ask them to do a 23andMe test. Do event for everyone who is 98% Jew. Also, all of them are not religious. Do you think it makes sense? Right? See, you can't really say anything about the Jewish people, and I am not going to say I hate the Jewish people, but I am Catholic. So I will say that I've never met a Jewish person, so I don't hate someone just because they're Jewish. But this particular Jew, okay, following on top of the Jewish supremacy stuff, there was a diary entry in which a girl had been used by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell as an incubator in order to have their children. A 32-page diary entry written by a victim who describes her experience as making her feel like a human incubator, wanting to die, saying, there is no respect for me as a human. I am nothing but your property and incubator. It also, again, suggests that Epstein himself was honestly kind of a Nazi, just reversed. A statement reads, superior gene pool? Why me? It makes no sense. Why my hair color and eye color? That feels very Nazi-like. I guess a better way to put it is that he seemed to be into eugenics. The diary does state that the girl did give birth and that the baby was taken about 10 to 15 minutes after birth. It doesn't state where the baby went, but it is confirmed that it was a girl. The author also does go on to claim that they wish the baby had stayed with them, but after it was taken, this obviously hurt the author of the diary, mentally, emotionally. It wasn't a good thing for this lady, obviously. To be completely honest, so far, this was the most horrible one to read. I don't even have a joke for this one. It was genuinely just sad. I don't even know how to put it. There is a potential follow-up. A following diary entry is written by someone who had experienced very similar situations. In the second document that I'm talking about, related to this incubator stuff, the author of this second diary entry mentions how she lost a child due to early miscarriage, and she had the first one taken from her. She does state, and I quote, I will not be your personal incubator, as well as asking, who has the first one? Given that her first child was taken and that both these diary entries have a scrapbook-like visual to them, I personally, I fully believe that this is the same girl in both of these entries. but it's just only my own hunch. Which also begs the question of what happened to these babies? Where did they go? Who knows? On to the last thing that I saw. So this is the last here. The very last thing that I saw. Time travel. I swear to God, fucking time travel got mentioned. I don't know how the fuck this happened. An email sent to Epstein suggests seeing the biological consequences of time travel. That's a fucking crazy plot point to just say. That's like a plot point to a movie we're gonna see in like 10 years from now. And then people are gonna post about how predictive programming or something. Email does read as, we should explore the biological consequences of time travel. It would be amusing to calculate the rate of evolution of a population or a mutant that can travel in time. That's fucking insane. Like I said, this is a plot point to a movie. Another thing I did find is that, no black girls were allowed on Epstein's island. There's an email that says, Jeff gave in at some point and told them, yes, I'll find some friends. Jeff wanted, and I quote, young, fresh meat girls, virgins. He also said, don't bring any. Well, I can't say that word because this is going on the internet, so I can't say that. So if you're a black girl, you're safe. That's a horrible thing to say. Lastly, Jeffrey Epstein was Jewish, and I say was because now he is fucking dead. Thank you for watching this video. This was honestly just me amusing my friends. They suggested Epstein Iceberg. Wouldn't that be fucking funny? I said, yeah, actually, that would be really funny. I have nothing else to say. My raw footage is 28 minutes long, and I need to go take a fucking shit. So, bye.